Maxine Greene, Aesthetics as an Important Part of Education. Introduction. Modern society tends to change rapidly and adapt to new conditions for people. However, this creates several problems associated with instability and poor performance of people behind the changes. Due to this fact, education has also suffered because it is directly related to society and has to undergo many changes after it. One of the most important functions of education is to instill in the younger generation the ability to think critically and analyze the situation, but this becomes difficult due to the above reasons. Maxine Greene's work answers many questions about the educational process, so it is crucial to choose the right approach to analyze it. The approach used can be characterized as comparative and critical, since only by casting doubt on information can its authenticity be assessed. Discussion. According to the author, an essential aspect of education is to teach students to imagine what could be done better. The absence of such an opportunity means paralysis of thoughts, which leads to stagnation in all spheres of the country and, as a result, its regression. Such a state must be destroyed precisely through the education system, because if the system raises people who are not able to imagine change, then this means a lack of imagination. The article pays much attention to the aspect of imagination that schools and universities should instill in students. These are the right thoughts because, in this way, the education system can form strong personalities who will not be afraid to change something in their lives and society. Thus, one can agree that the formation of an individual depends to a large extent on what their imagination is capable of. The above arguments follow the statement that an aesthetic form must be present in the training programs. This sounds logical because, through the creative process, young people learn to think a little differently and thus develop the ability to invent different things that do not yet exist. The problem for many teachers, according to the author, is that they view the arts as non-cognitive forms of communication, although it is impossible to measure the results of teaching creativity. However, Greene, in her work, does not consider the vital factor that creative processes cannot always be taught. This raises the question of how the program for the development of aesthetics in educational institutions should be developed so that the learning outcomes can be assessed. This suggests that in this situation, there is little that educators can do to improve ways of instilling imagination in young people. Many teachers do not understand how big and important the role art plays in the educational process. Greene's calls to bring art into the classroom can deepen students' sense of self-importance, determining engagement in the learning process. In this way, she brings the reader to another benefit of teaching aesthetics as a way to integrate students more into the process. As a result, this can significantly increase their potential and reveal talents unknown to them. In addition, education in the field of art will significantly expand the knowledge of children and adolescents about this area, which is helpful for the individual's overall development. In this way, the education system will be able to achieve that the people being trained will be more comprehensively developed, which is hard to argue with. Greene believes that art should occupy a central position in the education system. However, in order to properly present such positions, teachers must be developed and professionally trained. Otherwise, what will come out, as a result, will not be commensurate with the efforts made. Thus, she points out that when applying her theory, an essential aspect of education reform will be the professional development of teachers. A visible solution to this issue may be implementing art professionals in the educational process to support and advise teachers. Thus, at first, it will be possible to save time and resources for the retraining of teachers. The author pays special attention to what teaching methods can implement the proposed theory. Aesthetic literacy provides immersion and identification of students' perceptions and imaginations. Aesthetic education differs significantly from education in art classes. To engage in the development of a sense of art in schools and universities, the author suggests that teachers be associated with this area. This is different from the above-mentioned concept, but it also makes sense. Such teachers have long been familiar with aesthetic ideas and have extensive experience teaching such information. Accordingly, they, like no one else, will be able to correctly present information in such a way as to interest and involve students in the process. This is important because, without interest on the part of students, the methodology will have no meaning and will not bring any result. At the same time, interested students can create something with their own hands from clay or paint so that each lesson has a practical component. Conclusion. Maxine Greene believed that art was an integral part of human development, deepening the individual's knowledge in all spheres of life and professional activity. At several institutes, her theory of educational arts was turned into a practice that helped students better immerse themselves in what should be their imagination. By examining her work in detail, it can be confirmed that the arts included in the curriculum of schools and universities can make these institutions learning spaces with great potential. Art in the educational process can offer students many opportunities that will help make the knowledge, not just a set of information, but a flexible material from which people will create something new.